Another commentary done by Diggity. Upper right hand corner, we got Bonyth starting as the pink Protoss. Bottom right hand corner, we got Dewalt starting as this wonderful color blue. Yeah. Shout out to Piano in chat. Piano actually talked about this exactly. Like, I don't... this goes to the comment on the previous casts and style of casting and things like that. I definitely have the urge to play Brood War. But I know if I played it, it would be an obsessive thing. I have an obsessive personality, I will say. I dive into things, I dive into them deep and heavy for extended periods of time with, like, maybe it's an ADHD thing with, like, hyper-focus, which, and a lot of indulgence, and I can't trust myself. I can't trust myself with my urge to play Brood War to dive into it right this second, because I've got other responsibilities like parenting and whatnot. But yeah. I wonder if that's a thing common amongst Brood War players. I think this might be a 2-gate here from Bonyth. He's building a pylon that is very, very close to the ramp. Has there ever been an era where Protoss actually in PvP attempted to use, I would presume not, because of the Dragoon range and Dragoons being such a heavy unit? Like, you don't have to worry about Zealots, but I'm wondering if anyone's ever tried to defend a 2-gate using building blockades. Presumably not. First gateway down at the 10 supply mark. In the meantime, a much more defensive gateway out here for Dewalt. You'll see if he grabs gas momentarily. Bonyth sending a scout out immediately. Usually when he does this, he goes for the scout bottom left. I think the logic goes scout for the worst possible scenario, and that also gives him an opportunity to potentially adjust. 10-12 gate. As to know whether we actually saw, I think it was early in this series. Very, very early, like in the first set. By the way, set score tied 2-2. Exciting times. Where I think Bonyth made his way across. I'm not even sure he had built his first zealot yet. Got the scout at cross position and immediately just built a geyser and just kind of transitioned it into kind of a weird delayed 2-gate build. That I thought was a nice, clever adjustment on things. By the way, it is cybernetics core before zealot here, bottom right and corner for Dewalt. So going into a less defensive prepared position potentially. He's getting that additional pylon out in the corner. Actually, is he going to end up with a little bit of a supply block in the midst of this? I don't think so. So, first Dragoon queued up. Dewalt scouting top left, now upper right. Is going to at least see that Zealot on the line. We do have an immediate assimilator to follow. And a Manor Pylon. One thing I like about the Manor Pylon in the execution of this, by the way, the probe got wiped out by the 3 Zealots, so Dewalt should have... I think Dewalt has indication that this is coming his direction. Second Dragoon is queued up, but I'm not seeing any additional defensive pylons dropped, or any shield batteries or things along that line, so I'm wondering if he missed the additional Zealot behind the lines, and right now that probe gonna make its way out, but might be there. I think it might have vision to go ahead and I'm wondering if it has vision to drill its way back. Yeah, and Dewalt getting a very late start on these Dragoons, so all 3 now scrambling, is going to cede initial positioning, trying to micro against that interior Zealot, doing a really good job, actually, of focusing that Zealot down, but some nice micro from Bonyth to weaken his opponent's Zealot as well. So now 2 Zealots, they're able to clear out that Zealot, immediately going for the gas. So 1 probe down along that gas line. Gas is at least initially disrupted. Second probe wiped out. Third probe not yet killed, but there is a bit of a gas delay, and so Dewalt going to end up... Excellent execution of this from Bonyth, which is typically what you see here. He's going to end up 3 workers, and with that gas disruption in particular, I like how he targets that gas line in particular, because what that does is that allows him to equalize the gas advantage that Dewalt ends up having by going gas a little bit earlier. Immediate robotics facility to follow. 2 Dragoons are going to be met by 2 Dragoons as they approach the natural expansion, but Dewalt just wants to make sure that that natural expansion isn't in fact constructed in position. He's going to go 1-gate robo himself. Is he going to take a little bit of fire? 2 takes a little bit of shield damage, which could be dangerous, honestly. I'm wondering if there is a world where Bonyth notices that there's that shield shred and actually bears down with his 2 gates in response. Second gateway being constructed after the robotics. Bit of a risk to do so in case there was a number of scenarios where that wouldn't be advantageous. Range is also just finishes much, much earlier. 4 Dragoons piled up. Shuttle being constructed. Actually, the 4 Dragoons are making their way out. They're going to go ahead and push that Dragoon that was hanging out just to get a look at the unit counts back towards the natural expansion. Shuttle constructed initially. No observatory as of yet for Dewalt. Kind of pop down that additional pylon in the midst of this build. We do have an observatory being constructed from Bonyth. But as things stand, Bonyth up 5 workers. And at the early, they talk about the snowball effect. Part of the amazing thing about that 10-12 gate pressure when you're able to execute it well, like we saw, is you just end up with, not only do you end up with an economic advantage, you end up with an economic advantage early when it really counts and starts snowballing into everything else. Not to say it's like, oh, automatically wins the game, but it puts you in a very, very good position when it's well executed. Observatory and robotic support bay. In the meantime, we also have the Dragoons fanned out, looking for a peeker to maybe get something along those lines. Interesting, it's, okay, there's support bay. For a second there, I was curious if Bonyth did in fact go support bay because he didn't have that Reaver queued up, but I was just a few seconds late on that. Bonyth going to go ahead and put that spotting pylon here at the 3 o'clock. Thinking a much better, I like it when he's doing it in this scenario where he's got a little bit of that army lead and the economic lead. Observer is going to spot each other mid-map, although neither player shifting location, so it looks like they're both just going to cede a degree of information. An observer able to go and confirm the lack of natural expansion right this second. Actually going to continue up and potentially going to be able to confirm the Reaver coming out of the robotics. Just significant. So able to confirm the Reaver. The observer able to confirm the lack of expansion on the opposite end, but I'm not sure that it's pushed in deep enough to get anything else. And in particular, I don't know that it's seen the shuttle. Well, I think it sees the shuttle now. Yeah. So able to see the shuttle and Reaver opposite side. Pylon, yeah, never mind. I take back what I said a few seconds ago. I hate these pylons that early out there. Because Bonyth now, he's still got the worker lead, but he's again in the red. Dewalt moving out. And in the red at a really critical moment. So down a few Dragoons in the midst of this. Ooh, Reaver took a big shot right there. And he's going to lose another pylon here on the front to this Reaver, and he can't engage in this situation, and again is going to be in the red. So, try to look at the Nexus timing here. And it's going to be a much earlier Nexus for Dewalt. So Dewalt, as far as the follow-up, he's dropping his own pylon here at the 3 o'clock. In a pretty good spot overall. Ooh, that probe. Runaway probe. He's been hunted. Does that cause a pylon cancellation? No, looks like not. And honestly, Dewalt has one to lose. That being said, Bonyth still has an overall supply lead, but that's mostly in workers. And right now, Dewalt able to catch up a little bit because at a certain point, there's not enough workers to saturate 2 bases, so Dewalt going to end up with an earlier saturation of the natural expansion. So having those workers out a little bit earlier with this timing, this kind of round of minerals ends up neutralizing it a little bit. And another supply block in the red for Bonyth. That's the 3rd supply block now. And Dewalt now starting to catch up on workers. So natural expansion going to come up. That's going to end the supply block, but Dewalt able to close the gap in a lot of regards here. Observers just hanging out with one another, sharing stories, taunting each other, like fans in a... I gotta presume that like observers are kind of like fans in a stadium, right? Might be an opportunity for revenge here. Yeah, after all that, worker count just about even, and supply count's very, very close. But Bonyth returning the favor, and now going to be able to recover. Well, but with all those Dragoons out of position, Dewalt pressing forward is going to be able to get a shuttle. There's 3 Reavers here, though. Still a shuttle up for Dewalt. The Dragoons coming a little bit late to this fight. That shuttle gone, so now Dewalt relegated to just standing and fighting. And after that, Bonyth got the much better part of that exchange. So 15 supply lead. Sorry, 10 supply lead now. As the numbers change. And 2 Reavers up. Sorry, 1 Reaver up. Never mind. Even Reavers. But earlier shuttle? Earlier shuttle by a small margin. Point being, Bonyth has the supply lead. He's in a pretty good spot here. 4-gate on both ends. It's not out of contention, but Dewalt needs to do something to equalize things here a little bit. Advantage Bonyth overall. Although the probe count has closed a bit. 3 workers is... So 2 or 3 workers is a much smaller gap than 5. Particularly in the early game. Citadel of Adun and Forge constructing. 2 additional gateways. No move up the tier tech line here for Dewalt. So mostly wants to play it gateway. Ooh, runs up, gets an earlier shot on the Dragoon lines, loses a Dragoon himself. And, ooh, almost able to pick off a Reaver. Does pick off a Reaver. Opposite side. Bonyth continuing to press forward into this. Loses a shuttle. And maintains his shuttle opposite end. Loses the Observer, though, so I'm not going to have the forward scouting. And along that bridge line, I don't know that Bonyth is going to want to engage unless he can somehow move this Reaver a little bit further forward. Especially at closer reinforcement point. After that exchange, we are actually dead even. However, we are having a tech surge. So 6 gateways, +1 weapons, and an earlier Zealot leg speed here for Bonyth. So in another minute or two, Bonyth is going to have Zealot leg speed. He's also going ahead and grabbing shuttle speed. Dewalt does have the advantage of shuttle speed a little bit earlier. Sacrificed the tech for that. Starting to make his way out. Bonyth staging up to maybe grab that 12 o'clock base. The Observer sees the shuttle along that edge. So Bonyth retreating to a defensive stance at the natural expansion. With his shuttle moving across. And Dewalt careening in with these Reavers. Able to pick off some probes. Oh, gets a huge shot! And all of a sudden, he's up 10 workers and pressing into the natural. I think this might be an overstep. No, never mind. He's going to be able to pick off the Reaver and the shuttle that were there and exit. And continuing to get additional worker kills and working on the rope. I can't remember how to... Is it that? No, I'm trying to remember how to get rid of this screen. To show you guys the robotics facility getting picked off. The 2 Dragoons trying to intercept here. Gonna pay for it potentially with their lives. They do pick off the shuttle, so there's Reaver stranded on the high ground. But Dewalt making the best of it and just moving into position to save the 2 Reavers here at the 3 o'clock. So now, Bonyth all in. He needs to just crush into this. Although, I think he should just skip this engagement point. Yeah, don't run uphill into Reavers. Just use that, the fact that Dewalt is pinned there and end around. And it looks like that is in fact what he's going to do. This puts Dewalt in a bit of a pickle. Where does he want to try to defend the Reavers here at the 3 o'clock? Or is he, but as soon as this army is spotted, he's going to know he needs to evacuate and get down there. Reaver exposed on the low ground. Also doesn't have a lot of Scarabs built, it looks like. And Dewalt turning and engaging. If Dewalt holds, he wins. But the question now is does he have enough? The Reaver's actually with the support shuttle able to get up, and now Bonyth's chances are dwindling, having to retreat with the Dragoons. They're severely wounded. This is like the army march through the winter. And even though he has Zealot leg speed, and I believe +1 weapons finish. No, never mind, no +1 weapons. Never mind, +1 weapons just about to finish. And even though he has +1 weapons, now Dewalt just in an incredible position. And Bonyth needs to pull out a miracle. Down 30 supply. The Observer at least checking the 3 o'clock location. Here might be the miracle we're looking for. Dark Templar and a Reaver. Revenge. Reaver getting an amazing drop at the natural. And 2 Dark Templar might be able to take out this Nexus. Cannon warping in. More probes dying. All of a sudden the worker count is even. And that cannon is going to get picked off. This entire time, Dewalt was neglecting. Finally, the Observer makes its way up. Do they get the Nexus? They do not get the Nexus. The Reaver's still active, however. Dewalt, by the way, in the meantime, attacking that natural expansion. Bonyth getting caught a little bit off guard, so Reaver dropping here. Shuttle gets wiped out. And now Bonyth loses his natural expansion. But he's actually somehow up on workers. So we got 2 minutes here of mining left in the main. Dewalt crashing into the main. The Reaver, unfortunately, not doing the best targeting here. But it looks like Dewalt might just have too large an army as far as a follow-up. The Reaver's gone on one side. Looks like a shuttle is being produced, so there's going to be no Reaver support opposite side. A big splash shot. Never mind, it was a dud. But the Dragoons now making their way up. And it looks like there's going to be an overwhelming army for Dewalt in the main. Bonyth calls GG. Wild follow-up as far as a finisher. But Dewalt going to take the first match in this 5th set. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for listening.